The city of Neo Haven wept. The rain spilled relentlessly from an ash-gray sky, weaving patterns of sorrow on the cracked pavements. Each droplet told stories of broken dreams and lost hopes. In this melancholy tapestry, Lane Anderson moved like a shadow, the weight of his life pulling him deeper into the neon-soaked embrace of the night. Hunched shoulders, a coat 2 sizes too large, and boots worn down by miles of regrets. He was the embodiment of a life interrupted. The ambient glow from the neon lights painted his face in shades of blue and purple, highlighting the furrows etched deep by life's betrayals. His eyes, once bright with ambition, now mirrored the city's bleakness. Lane's journey through Neo Haven's narrow alleys was more than a physical commute. It was a reflection on missed chances. Each street held a memory, each corner a reminder of what could have been. He passed by Sally's diner, where he used to dream over cups of coffee. Now it stood derelict, just like his aspirations. A faint hum of music played from an old radio somewhere, its notes clinging to the air. The tune was familiar, a song from his youth, from days when love was real, and the future was a canvas waiting to be painted. Those were the days before addiction took hold, before choices made in desperation redefined his existence. He stopped in front of what used to be his childhood home, now just a graffiti-clad remnant of the past. This was where he had promised Emily a future, where they had carved their initials into the wooden beam. Now all that was left were ghostly imprints of their love, gradually fading away. A stray cat, drenched and miserable, approached him, mewing pitifully. Lane knelt and let the feline nuzzle his hand. For a brief moment, they shared a bond, a silent understanding between 2 souls adrift in the vast sea of despair. He wished to offer it shelter, just as he yearned for solace. "I know, little one," Lane murmured, his voice roughened by years of cigarette smoke and unsaid words. "We're both lost, aren't we?" As if on cue, a shadow detached itself from the gloom. The form was barely discernible, but the voice was unmistakable, a whisper, barely audible against the pitter-patter of rain. "Lane Anderson," it breathed. He straightened up, his gaze darting around, searching for the source. "Who's there?" A figure cloaked in mystery stepped forward. "Someone who's been watching you, Lane. Watching and waiting." The mystique, combined with his raw vulnerability, gripped Lane's heart. He knew he should be cautious, but there was an undeniable pull toward the stranger. "You're hurting," the voice continued, softer now, almost compassionate. "Neo Haven has taken much from you but can also give back." Lane scoffed, the sound raspy and bitter. "Neo Haven has given me nothing but pain." The figure drew closer, the neon lights now unveiling a pair of piercing eyes. "But what if there's more, Lane? What if behind all this neon and rain there's a purpose waiting for you?" Lane met those eyes, seeing in them an abyss of promises. The essence of Neo Haven, the allure, the despair, and the untapped potential, all seemed to coalesce in that gaze. "Why me?" Lane rasped, his throat constricting. "Because, Lane," the stranger replied. "Even in the deepest darkness, some lights refuse to be extinguished." And as the rain poured, washing away the grime and sins of the city, Lane Anderson found himself standing at the precipice of change. In the echoes of the neon-lit streets, a new hope began to resonate, a hope that his story was not yet over. The rain continued its unyielding descent, the droplets playing a symphony on the cobblestones of Neo Haven. Lane, however, found himself inexplicably drawn to the cloaked figure before him. As he introduced himself, Phoenix had a magnetic presence that defied the gloom. "Your reputation precedes you, Phoenix," Lane remarked, recalling the whispered tales he'd overheard in the city's dimly lit taverns. Phoenix was an enigma, part myth, part vigilante, whispered about but seldom seen. Phoenix let out a soft chuckle, the sound almost musical. "Stories often become larger than life, Lane, but at the heart of every myth is a seed of truth." Curiosity piqued. Lane inched closer, the rain creating a shimmering barrier between them. "And what's your truth?" Phoenix's eyes, the only part of him visible from beneath the cloak, held depths of experiences and mysteries. "I'm just a man who sees the potential in what others discard, whether it's a city, an old item, or a soul." Lane's eyes darkened. "I'm no discarded soul, Phoenix. Ah, but you are a soul in pain, one who's seen the dark corners of Neo Haven and has the scars to prove it," Phoenix replied, his voice gentle yet probing. Lane recoiled, defensive walls rising. "Why are you so interested in my scars, in my story?" Phoenix leaned in, the weight of his gaze making Lane feel exposed and vulnerable. Because every scar tells a story, Lane, and stories have power. Power to heal, to inspire, to change. A heavy silence enveloped them, the city's cacophony distant. Lane felt his defenses waver. Here was someone who seemed to care genuinely and might understand his battles. Phoenix continued, Neo Haven is on the verge of a transformation, Lane, but it needs torchbearers. It needs people who've seen its worst to bring out its best. Lane hesitated, torn between his skepticism and a budding hope. And you think I can be one of those torchbearers? Phoenix's eyes softened. I don't just think, Lane. I know. Lane pondered Phoenix's words, the promise they held. The city had always been a place of despair for him, a maze of faded dreams and unfulfilled promises. But Phoenix offered a new perspective, a vision of what could be. Intrigued, he finally asked, What do you need from me? Phoenix extended his hand, revealing a small, glowing emblem. It pulsed with an ethereal light, illuminating the intricate patterns etched onto its surface. This is the Nexus emblem, Lane. It's been passed down through generations, waiting for the right bearer. I believe it's found its home with you. Lane hesitated, then took the emblem. An electric charge coursed through him, awakening senses he didn't even know he possessed. For the first time in years, he felt alive, connected to something greater than himself. This is just the beginning, Lane, Phoenix whispered, his cloak billowing as he retreated into the shadows. When the time is right, the Nexus will guide you. As Phoenix disappeared, Lane clutched the emblem tighter, feeling its warmth spread through him. The rain began to wane, and as the first rays of dawn pierced the horizon, Neo Haven seemed to breathe anew. With the Nexus emblem in hand, Lane felt a surge of purpose. Phoenix had ignited a spark within him, and he was determined to fan it into a blazing flame. The journey to reclaim his life and Neo Haven's soul had begun,